Warframe, everyone!
Grenier.
Why are these fools still breathing my air?
This is unacceptable!
Warframe is a game where, if you get into it, you love it. Until you hate it. If you're a veteran, you'll know this very well. If you're a new player, well, you'll know it when you get to it. Now, for people who are looking for a game review from this video, unfortunately, you're not going to be getting any of that. This is going to be a veteran's take on the current state of the game, and the reason why I find it so... I hate it. I can't stand the game anymore. It's not what I like. This is going to be a rant for veterans, by a veteran, and if you're new, I really do suggest you click off the video, because this is going to have a lot of biased opinions in it that, quite frankly, you don't need to hear, because it may affect the way you see the game, and you might like it. So, with that all out of the way, let us begin. Now, we're the Arc 7. We're choosing to watch you, but how do we know you're a veteran, as it were? Well, you see, you dear viewer, basically, you take my word for it. Anyone from DE is watching this. I would love my two-factor authentication to be able to get me my accounts back. Accounts plural, because there are many that are lost now, but I would really appreciate that, thank you. But anyway, enough with my own personal side quests. Who am I? I am Worthy Oak 7. I have played Warframe for around, Jesus Christ, 10 years. Fuck me. I played it between the years 2013 and 2023 mostly, and though I have gone to and fro with the game since then, I would not count those hours as played. They were coming back for special events, one-off times. So my years were mostly between, I believe, around June 2013 through to 2023 sometime. Over the course of those years, I accrued roughly 10,893 hours in Warframe total across 15 different accounts, two of which one was PlayStation, which has around 4,000 of the hours, and a PC account, very old PC account, that has about 6,000 total hours on it, and a whole load of other sub-accounts that were used for helping friends and other new players along the way getting started. I was one of the very few lucky players that got to get their hands on Dark Sector, all the way back in 2008. Dark Sector could not have had a better spiritual successor than Warframe. It is so loyal to the original Dark Sector, it's not even funny. Keep in mind, when I played Dark Sector, okay, I'm 23 right now. I was 6 when I played this game. That is the sort of source we're getting into. Right, I just learned how to hold a controller. Dark Sector was actually the reason why I was late to the Warframe game originally, because I loved it, you know, like playing Dark Sector was great. And because of that, I just thought it was only like a month and a half. I was like, you know what? I don't need to play this new Warframe game. It looks like Dark Sector. I'm just going to keep playing Dark Sector. But I had a friend who kept telling me about it in primary school. And I was like, you know what? Fine. Let's give it a go and see how it goes. Turns out to be one of my most played games of all time, second only to Ratchet and Clank. Actually, I don't know if I should say it. You know what, guys, it's been fucking how many years? I think it's time, no, we can, Dondi, everyone out there who played this, who you know who you are, shut up. I'm telling them now, because it's gone too far. Like, people don't Google search enough, because this is so stupid. If you're in the Warframe community and you want to know whether someone's actually telling the truth on whether they played Dark Sector or not, just ask them, did they play Dark Sector 2? Just ask them that. If they say yes, you know instantly they're a fraud. Dark Sector 2 doesn't exist, man. It never did. And I remember, oh, fucking Dondi. He went into the bloody chats at the time, and so everyone sort of found each other, and they're like, oh, we should tell everyone in the future in this Warframe game that we all played Dark Sector 2, and that's what the way to tell if someone's a veteran or not. But no, it's the biggest lie that bloke's ever told. So yeah, now you know. Warframe is Dark Sector 2, technically. Dark Sector 2 never existed. It was a concept at most, and even then it's not confirmed. But if you want to call Dark Sector 2 something, it would be Warframe, okay?
Whoa. Nice car.
Now, many of you, including myself, often ponder what actually makes a veteran a veteran. And we all come to different realizations to what we think a veteran could and should look like. A lot of people seem to determine it as an expression of skill, or a amount of time spent in the game is usually pretty common. A certain amount of hours put toward the game, which I believe is fair enough. For me, a veteran involves a couple of things. The first one is that you have to have had played the game outside of the 5 latest updates to the game. And it also can be determined by how big the update is. I'm talking major updates, you know, I'm thinking things like fucking, whatchamacallit, the last war, what was it called? The first war, the war within. It's been a while since I played the game, guys. Let me have a break, okay? It's been a while. So yeah, Stolen Dreams, the War Within, Second Dream, the Second Dream, I believe it's called. Things like this are what I would consider major updates. If you have 5 updates since that, I think you can call yourselves a veteran. I also think that there is a couple of things within that sort of expression that also stand out as someone who is a veteran, because every Warframe player goes through this inevitably, or you just kind of do. You hit this roadblock where you have got the best items in the game. For me at the time, the best items that I ended up with, which I know for a fact are no longer there, were a huge roll Atarax with, you know, Maiming Strike, or what people say Memeing Strike today. Maiming Strike, Sliding, all of the stuff. I had Orthos Prime, all the good melees, things like, you know, Ember, Equinox, Limbo, even though Limbo wasn't really meta at that time. Frost was another big one. Nova, huge Warframe Nova at that time. Most missions just weren't doable without her. And Saren, always been a top contender, and, you know, according to my knowledge, still is, just asking people. Octavia, I think she was kicking around in that time. I'm not certain, but she kind of broke the game as well. Healer, tank hybrid Trinity, fucking legend that Warframe, carried all of the early days of Warframe and players who just could not, there was no skill level in those days, and so Trinity was just a massive carry back then. Back then, that was sort of my kit. And you hit this roadblock, and what ended up happening is you would kind of just end up helping other people. And every veteran in the game does this. They will get to a certain point in the game, you will just say,
I don't know what to do. I'm sick of fucking colouring my Warframe all the colours of the fucking rainbow. I don't know what to do.
Let's go help the new players, right? We've all done it. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it. That's just how it is. And so you will end up doing this. If you have done that and you've gotten past that point where it's like, I'm sick of helping new players, I want to actually get some content, congratulations, you're a veteran in my eyes.
Look, Pim, I know it's our job to help this guy and everything, but I think this guy's a lost cause.
So, a great many of you will be wondering, well, what's wrong, Oak? What's up? What's up in that mind palace of yours? Where did the Warframe game start to lose traction for you? And for me, it was a long time before I stopped playing. It's just how good of a game Warframe is, or was, for me at least. Warframe started to lose favor with me when they removed Void Keys. Now, Void Keys came with a whole slew of problems, so I'm not even going to get into that. But one of the most fun things to do was these long, dedicated runs with my friends. Now, if you were doing this stuff solo, oh, the amount of people who were just absolute scumbags back then, you guys understand. If you don't, just look it up. There's plenty of, like, reasons why void keys should have absolutely been removed. For me personally, void keys were a huge part of the game, and if you guys, I'll just basic premise, void keys were around up until I believe either 2014 or 2015. I can't quite remember. And they allowed you to go into the void and do void defenses, void survivals. I don't think there were any other game modes. I think it was just defense and survival that were in the void towers. Anyway, besides the point, every single time you completed a set of waves, you got rewarded with prime gear. This was the way you would get, like, your own prime stuff. You wouldn't open relics like you do today. You used to go to the towers and do all that there. And these runs usually were runs gunning at it for Loki Prime, and at the time I think also Ash Prime, because these two were the two most sought after Warframes in the game due to their invisibility. For those of you who don't know, back then, invisibility was the best ability in the game, and because Loki had the longest invisibility duration, he was the best Warframe. Editing note here, just wanted to add something in on this part. The invisibility meta in Warframe was so fucking ridiculous, DE, when they released the 10.0 update, the update that brought you your secondary character inside the Warframe suit. The 10.0 ability that came out with the Matarai, I believe it was, gave you invisibility for 6 seconds whenever you hit a critical hit. And if you have played Warframe, you know how common critical hits are. You had, and this is the part that I miss the most, setups were required in those days, because Warframes were not as strong as they are today. There were parts of Warframe that were ridiculous, don't get me wrong, like Guillotine Prime and all that shit, fuck me. Back then, Warframes weren't strong, and you had to have a setup in order to succeed. And your setup typically was Nova, Trinity, and then one AoE like damage dealing Warframe that damaged over time, such as Saren, or maybe even Equinox, and then a very high damage, direct damage Warframe like Excalibur Prime. Some people were running that back in the day. Amongst other things that were around at that time, such as Rhino. Rhino would be another really good one. I don't think Avara was quite in yet with what I'm talking about, so I'll leave that. She might have been. You guys can tell me whether I'm wrong or not. And that's missing from the game now. You know, like long dedicated runs with setup and people actually having to contribute a decent amount of time to a mission is just gone now. A mission, you go into Warframe and you do a mission in 2 minutes sometimes. You can do most of the missions in 10, and almost all of the missions are done within 20 minutes. Easily fucking done. The next thing for me personally that ended up going wrong in Warframe was, as you may have guessed, and as most veterans from that era will tell you, Melee 2.0. Oh dear lord. So when Melee 2.0 was announced, there was rioting because Melee was Warframe's bread and butter when it came down to it. And I will say this now, I will continue to say it until it is wrong. Warframe has the single best movement of any game I have ever played. Bar fucking none. Nothing comes close to the amount of freedom you feel in Warframe. It has the best humanoid movement and even for that matter, just movement altogether in any video game. Its movement is so good, and the thing that complemented it so good was the melee. Now, back in the day, melee was far popular than any gun, okay? Melee was stronger generally than guns. Most people were like running melees, only melees. It was ridiculous how good melees were back in the day. And they played well into Warframe's strength of having that good combat, because Warframe's combat feels so fulfilling and free, and you feel like an absolute fucking badass while you're kicking these fucking Grineers' asses. You're just destroying everything with this melee, and it feels good because the movement is insane. And then Melee 2.0 got released, or announced, I should say. And it didn't come right away because there was a massive uproar about it. Everyone's builds up until this point in Warframe's history had been made into melee, and very specialized into melee. And when you think about the amount of formers and the amount of skins that had been invested into all of these different melees, and now these melees were going to be practically unusable according to most of what they were saying, you can understand why a lot of us oldies were getting quite upset about this. I myself, when the Melee 2.0 dropped, I stopped playing the game. Like, I quit playing the game for maybe 5 or 6 months because it was so damaging to my builds and everything about all of my inventory that I couldn't stand it. You had to go back and reformat everything, and I didn't want to deal with it. I was just like, you know what? Different games are here. Let's just go play those. Now, the third and really final nail in the coffin for me when it comes down to why I quit Warframe as a whole and why I think the game sucks nowadays is a pretty selfish reason, but it's a reason nonetheless, and it's a reason a lot of the community shares. And a lot of people will see this as elitism, or like some form of elitism. It's not. It's just, for me and a lot of other people, it's really unfair the way that this has gone about. So, in Warframe, there are multiple different currencies, a huge amount of currencies. They're borderline a resource at this point, okay? More so a resource. One of these very, very old resources was a thing called Cetus Wisps. Now, I've said this, and some of you already know where I'm going with this. Cetus Wisps. To get what I needed when I was using, you know, the best stuff to get them at the time, which was a teleporting Nova. So you had this max range teleporting Nova flying around the plains of Eidolon, and I used to fly around the plains of Eidolon using Nova, doing these specific routes that the community, including myself, thought up and kind of corroborated into this ultimate route. Alright, you went up, left, up, across the big lake, do a loop around the big lake, come back inside, rinse and repeat, okay? You go to the left side lake that usually has the little Eidolon lore spawner there, and like the really small underground Grineer base. You do a loop around that, go up, there's like a small 2 sets of stream ponds. They kind of look like, I don't know, I'm trying to look at the camera, like this, almost, kind of, sort of thing. You do a loop around those, over to the big center lake, you loop around those, come back home, and rinse and repeat, and you do this every night, because Cetus Wisps only spawned in at night, okay? And I'm pretty sure it's still like that now. What's the issue with that? Well, today, in this day and age, you can do and get what I got, or what I was getting per hour, in under 5 minutes. The scaling factor is insane, and it's not the only fucking resource that this is like been done with. Like, for example, a much more recent one would be those blue, red, and yellow crystals. You can buy those now. They were once a week. You would do these one time a week. And now you can purchase them. Are you kidding me? Do you know... Oh, man, no, I can't even... Oh, and here's another one, right? You used to have to do these missions to get, these, whatchamacallit, these items, these arcanes, as they were called. Now you can just go ahead and kill Eidolons. You used to only be able to get, like, one arcane mission. Now you can get, like, 27. What are we doing? And that's just the base arcanes, man. If you're doing the fucking the holdfasts or whatever they're called, the people on the Zariman 10-0, if you're doing their quests, you can get 50, 60 arcanes in an hour. Maybe even more. It's bullshit, man. Do you know how many fucking days it would take me to get 7 fucking relics? 7 whole relics? 7 days. Wow. Oh, it just... And, like, here's the thing, right? I don't mind if the developers put in something that allows players to get things easier. It's fine. I don't care. But I would like for there to at least be a bar of entry, okay? Like, you should not be able to, in Minecraft, for example, go up to a tree and punch a piece of wood. You've now got a piece of wood, so therefore you have an infinite piece of wood because, you know, the game says so. It's bullshit, man. Like, I wouldn't mind it if the let's take Cedar Swifts, for example. Let's say you have to naturally collect 100 Cedar Swifts, okay? 100 Cedar Swifts you have to naturally collect, okay? Then you can go and just purchase them because they've been synthesized or some other bullshit has happened that allowed the Ostrons to create them from their own, you know, they've got a farm now of Cedar Swifts that you can just buy from. But just make a bar and barrier. It's just some sort of entry point that you have to get to that doesn't make all of us, like, vets feel like we've spent, you know, because there are some people who, like, unlike me, tried to 100% everything in every update, right? These people were grinding Cedar Swifts nearly 5 or 6 times longer than I was, because I only needed 3 parts for my prism at the time. But these people were getting every single prism for every single combination. So they were getting more and more Cedar Swifts than I ever needed. I needed, I think, at total around 130 Cedar Swifts. All up was what I needed. And that took me days and days to do, right? These guys were going at it for months. Now, there are a whole load of good things about Warframe as well. I said one of them before, the movement and stuff. But for me, Warframe just is not ever going to be the same again. Warframe used to be this game that I could just throw my all into and I would have so much fun because I was grinding it with people who were just as invested as I am. And the grind was real. You had to go for a long time to get stuff. And that's taken out of it these days. You just don't get that experience like you used to. And that experience in the past was... it built friendships because you relied on each other for certain things. And that's what made the Warframe community feel so whole, in my opinion, was the fact that you needed people to do missions. You couldn't just do it yourself. These days you can do missions faster with people, but you should always be able to do them by yourself. Back then, not so much. Missions were made to be able to be done single-handedly. They're a lot harder, and they were honestly a lot less fun to try and do so. Anyways, I'm going to leave that video there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, didn't enjoy. Tell me what you thought about this rant. I just thought I would say it as someone who was a part of the community a while ago now and has left since. Looked at the game again and kind of not seen an improvement. So that's it from me. And thanks for watching if you still are. I'll catch you later. See ya.